everyone, I am Brother Eds and welcome to another episode. Today, I will be joined by one of my students to share some biblical things. Enjoy the video!
If you have someone who knows your soul, not just someone that you've shared your hobbies with or you occasionally hang out, but someone who knows the real you, who knows what's really going on inside, someone that you can trust, confide in, and share the most inner parts of who you are, then you should be grateful because you're lucky and beyond blessed to have a friend. So today, our main dish is friendship. So what exactly friendship is? Nowadays, most of the people's thoughts about friendships are way too different. Today, to be a friend just means you're connected in social media, and if you think like one of those guys, you probably got it wrong. Well, if I were to define friendship is a lot more depth of sharing life together in real ways. It is stated in the Bible that friendship is such an honorable and precious thing, and you can be wise in God's world without friendship. For you to have a deeper understanding of what friendship truly is, let me tell you about these stories where their friendship have been tested and grew through a lot of different difficult situations. And so, let me walk you through things that we can learn from these friendships. One of the most famous stories about friendship in the Bible is the story of Jonathan and David. Saul was the first king of Israel and Jonathan was his son. Jonathan would have been the next king of Israel, but his father Saul had disobeyed God to the point of having the kingdom taken away from him. God had already chosen David to be the next king of Israel. Even though Jonathan knew that David would be the next king, he befriended the young man. Jonathan was willing to trust God's decision in the choice of the next king, while accepting that this meant that Jonathan will never be king. Saul tried to kill David, but Jonathan helped him escape. When it was clear that Saul wouldn't allow David to live, Jonathan put himself at risk just to protect David. Jonathan confronted Saul concerning David, at which time Saul's anger was turned toward Jonathan. They eventually parted out of necessity. David was heartbroken to learn of his friend's death. The next story I will share to you is about Ruth and Naomi. Ruth's late husband was Naomi's son. While they were connected by a marriage relationship, they were also dear friends. Ruth insisted on returning with Naomi to her home country of Israel. Though Ruth had lost her husband to death, she did not want to lose her friend. They returned to Israel together, grieving deeply for their mutual loss. They were faithful to one another. One of Naomi's relatives fell in love with Ruth. Their marriage brought peace and joy to the two ladies. The next story is about Jesus and Peter. Jesus had a strong bond and friendship with all the disciples. Each one had their own relationship with the Lord. Some of the disciples who we don't know much about, while others seem to take up the bulk of the Lord's time. One of the men who was prominent during the life of Jesus and for many years after was the disciple named Peter. During Jesus' life, Peter was prominent, more often than not, because of his mistakes. Yet, Jesus forgave him over and over. Peter said that he would stand by Jesus' side until death. Jesus knew that Peter would deny him. All four of the Gospels records Peter's denial. But before the Lord returned to heaven, he went to Peter in John 21 and showed compassion and forgiveness to him. Though Peter had denied Jesus, Jesus knew that he would be a man who will boldly proclaim the saving grace of the Lord. The last story would be the story of Paul and Barnabas. Many people remember that Paul and Barnabas had an argument which separated them from working together. However, it should also be remembered that these two men spent many years together as friends and partners in the ministry. After Paul's conversion on the road to Damascus, he went to Arabia for 3 years. When he returned to Jerusalem, the people only remembered who he had previously been, Saul, the persecutor of Christian church. Barnabas was willing to accept Paul as a friend and student. Early in their relationship, it is obvious that Barnabas was the leader of the team. Barnabas was training Paul to be the great evangelist that he ultimately became. Later in the book of Acts, Paul is seen as the leader of the team. There is a change in the language. When they first worked together, The Bible talked about Barnabas and Paul. Later, they were known as Paul and Barnabas. At some point, the student became the leader of their group of ministers. The two men worked for many years together, assuming that they separated, as many believe, over their relationship with John Mark. Paul speaks with respect to Barnabas' decision. Early in their traveling ministry, John Mark went back home, but Paul later said that the young man had become profitable to the ministry. Paul benefited from the stance that Barnabas took in choosing to train John Mark. Though they did not always agree, it appears that these two friends continued to have a respect for each other and their decisions.
These are not just simple stories in the Bible, but these are precious stories one must not ignore, because these can give us a deeper knowledge and understanding of what friendship truly is, and lessons that we can apply in our lives. Lessons like great friendships require great commitment, great friendships involve great risk, great friendship includes God, and great friendship reflects great love.
If you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Comment below. Positive comments lang para good vibes tayo lahat. Share and subscribe. And of course, this will not be possible without the effort of the creator of this channel, Elaiza. Thank you very much. God bless everyone.